So what did the Celts believe in, anyhow? I mean, were they polytheists or pantheists or animists, or what even do any of these terms mean? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. So before we get started, let's talk about the various types and categories of belief systems. And the first one to talk about is monotheism. And monotheism is, as the name implies, is the belief in a singular divine entity. And that divine entity is the creator God, and he is the God of everything. So it's the God of the Hebrews and the Christians. So the next type is polytheism, and polytheism is the belief in multiple gods. And the Romans and the Greeks, they were polytheists, and they had many gods, and they had gods for different purposes. They had Mars, and they had Mercury, and they had Jupiter, and the Greeks had Apollo, and there was Dionysus for the wine growers. So they had different gods for different purposes. So now we'll talk about pantheists. And pantheists believe that there is one divine being, but that divine being exists throughout the fabric of the universe. It exists in every single thing. So there is an essence of divinity in everything. And now we'll move on to the concept of animism. And animists believe that there's a spirit in everything. So it's similar to a pantheist. A pantheist believes there's a divine spark in everything, whereas an animist believes that there is a spirit in everything. So people have spirits, animals have spirits, mountains have spirits, lakes have spirits, everything has a spirit. And that is just slightly different to how a pantheist will see things. A pantheist will see it as God in everything. So where do the Celts fit into all of this? Well, we know they were animistic. We know that they believed there was spirit in everything. So they did believe there was a spirit of the mountains and spirits of the woods and certainly spirits of the lakes. But the classical writers tell us that they also had tribal gods, such as Tutates, Tyrannus, and Isis. And there were pan-Celtic gods, such as Lugus and Pele and Epona. So this makes them polytheists as well. I suppose it would be fair to say that not every Celt believed in exactly the same things, just as people today don't believe in exactly the same thing. Some Celts may have been more influenced by the local spirits, while others may be more influenced by the tribal gods, such as the warrior classes. They may be influenced by Tutates, who was the protector of the tribe. But also they were aware of the pan-Celtic gods, and they may have worshipped gods such as Lu and Beli. So, to answer the question then, were the Celts polytheists or animists or pantheists? And I would say that they were clearly animistic and probably shamanic. It seems to me there's plenty of narrative that demonstrates a crossing over from the physical realm to the other world. There's plenty of stories in the Mabinogi that demonstrate this concept of shamanism, but also clearly they were polytheists as well. How far does that go back? Who knows? Were they shamanic originally, animistic and shamanic in the early days, and gradually evolved into having more godlike figures rather than spiritual figures? It seems to me that would be the likely scenario. So there's enough there to demonstrate that they were animistic and polytheists. But were they pantheists? And that goes to ask another question, really. Where did the origin of the other world come from? Was there a Celtic creation story? I've heard there's a couple, but there was no hard evidence on any that I've heard, and so whatever creation stories there may have been, even if they were just tribal stories, they seem to have been lost to the past. Or maybe this is too big a question to ask, as there is no one answer. I'm sure some felt there was one divine source, and some didn't go that far. But I would say that in a modern society, I think the pantheist model makes a lot of sense. If we consider that everything in the universe is constructed from the same basic raw element of energy, and then it's just the different way in which that energy is manifest that makes up every little thing in the universe. First to energy, and then to atoms, then more solid manifestations, and everything is created from that divine spark of energy. Now, in a modern world, I think that makes a lot of sense. Were the Celts that sophisticated? Of course not. They didn't understand atoms, but they did. The amazing thing is that they did believe there was an energy and a spirit to everything. And it was that spirit that was divine.